Welcome to the Retro Relapse Podcast, Episode 1. We're going to be talking about a few different things. We're going to be talking about the introduction of our show, and what all is going to happen, all the stuff I have planned out for it, and pretty much the way we're going to review different content for the show. Right now, I have with me today my friend Justin. Justin, go ahead and say hi.
Hey.
He doesn't really know what much to say because he's very shy. He is a big video gamer like me. We like to play different types of video games. And today we're going to talk about the different types of games and the first systems we got as kids. Okay, so go ahead. What was the first system you had as a kid? Super Nintendo? Here, adjust your microphone so I can hear you. There you go. Okay.
Yep.
So Super Nintendo, do you remember when you first got it? Did you get it for Christmas or what?
I don't really remember. I was really young when I got it, so it was way a while back, like when I was a little kid. Maybe just a little toddler.
I got the Sega Genesis when I first started getting into the gaming. The very first system I got, though, was the Game Boy. I was talking to my mom the other day when I had dinner with her, and she was saying that, because I wanted to ask her so bad, I'm like, Mom, I'm going to start this podcast. I really want to know why I even got into gaming. What did I do exactly? She's like, you wouldn't stop talking about the Game Boy, and you wouldn't stop talking about Sega. So I apparently got the Game Boy, and she gave it to me because I wouldn't stop talking about it. And that was the first system I had myself. And from there, I got a Sega later on when my mom and my stepdad got married. They got me that for Christmas. And basically, the very first system I played was Nintendo, and my sister had that, and I used to play that all the time. And I wouldn't play it. I wouldn't play it anymore once I got the Sega Genesis because I had Sonic 2 that came with it. What games did you get on the Super Nintendo when you first started playing?
Just the Super Mario World and Killer Instinct, Pac-Man's Adventure, I think, and Empire Strikes Back for Star Wars. I think those are some of the ones that I had.
Well, what game did you play the most that you remember? Like, if you can play it again as a kid, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember this part when I was a kid.
Played Super Mario World a lot.
Probably the most.
Probably the most.
I would expect you, since you're such a Star Wars fan, that you would play Empire Strikes Back the most, though.
I did play that too. That was like the second one I played the most. Oh, I also had Top Gear too. I played that quite a bit.
Oh yeah, you showed me Top Gear.
A racing game.
I tried playing Top Gear and I couldn't get into it. I don't know why. I think the comic, like talking and stuff, just kind of threw me off. I never played it as a kid though. And so, anyways, I'm going to mention some of the podcast name ideas we had. Originally, we were going to call ourselves Random Retro. We saw online that it was pretty much, I don't know for sure if it is taken or not, but I think, what was the podcast name? There was, the game, I think it's the Retro League. I think their original name was Random Retro, but I'm not entirely sure. Some of the other names we were thinking about was Retro Resolution, Retro Gambler, Retro Ramble, because obviously we're rambling right now. And then I thought of Retro Play Overdrive, because that basically stands for Retro Podcast, but it's too many words, I guess. And we had Reliving Retro and Retro Alive, but we clicked most with Retro Relapse because I just randomly thought about it, and I mentioned it to Justin and a few of my other friends, and they all thought it was funny, and it kind of clicked because, I mean, it's basically the whole podcast is going to be about music, movies, and video games. And each episode will be probably reviewing 2 different topics. It'll be like one or the other based off of our picks together, I guess. And pretty much what I have as the tagline for now is it's enough content to give you a retro relapse. So I just thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, anyways, to mention back to games we grew up with, when I got the Sega, I got Sonic 2, like I said, and I played that nonstop. I still like have the music memorized. I could never beat that game. A lot of people say Sonic games are easy to beat. Not for me. I know that the farthest I've ever gotten in that game is always the sky level, pretty much, right after you're on the airplane that Tails is flying. I always get up to that level, and I know it's like really close to the end, but I can never beat the game for some reason because I get kind of lost and confused. Now, referring to movie games again, I didn't have Star Wars for Sega, but I had Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. Now, the original Jurassic Park for the Sega Genesis was really, really hard, and I remember renting it as a kid, and I didn't like it. But I did get Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. I think I got it from my grandparents for Christmas, and I played that game nonstop, so much to where I can beat the game in about 30 minutes. That game used to crack me up because it had really stupid AI. The characters, it didn't make much sense, the fact that you have dinosaurs running around with people running around, and they're all on a team against one person. Like, why would dinosaurs team up with people? Those dinosaurs would eat up the people, obviously, but you got guys throwing grenades at you, and they're all in blue outfits, and you got them shooting pistol shots at you, and they don't know what to do most of the time because they'll get glitched out a lot. If you stand in a certain place where they try to shoot you, they can't even go over to shoot you. They just shoot 100 times onto the ground. They just keep ducking and shooting at the floor, which doesn't make any sense at all. The game's music was really cool. The graphics were pretty good at the time. And comparing the Jurassic Park games to the Super Nintendo games, it's totally different because Justin and I recently got Jurassic Park for the Super Nintendo. We took it back because it was just top view, and all you could do is just play as Alan Grant, and all you're doing is just jumping around, right?
That's basically the only fun part of that game is just jumping around.
Yeah. It kind of felt like Frogger, but trying to survive from dinosaurs.
It's kind of funny in a little bit.
Yeah, so we tried playing it. It was totally different. And the coolest thing about Rampage Edition on the Sega Genesis, though, is you get a huge arsenal of weapons, and you even get like a rocket launcher. You can get electrocution gun, and you can electrocute people, and it shows their skeletons. And you can even get a flamethrower, and it torches them, and they go to ashes. And I just thought that was the funniest stuff in the world. And if you throw grenades too fast, they'll chain up and not kill you, but they'll hurt you. They'll do damage to you. So it'll be like a chain of explosions, which is pretty funny. Anyways, beyond all that, you had 64, or did you just had PlayStation, didn't you?
Yeah, when 64, I guess, came out, I don't know, I had the PlayStation instead.
Yeah, so you and I
played
kind of
64 at other friends' houses and stuff. Though.
Right. Well, the thing that's funny about me and Justin is that Justin and I pretty much had opposite systems growing up, and we didn't really know each other until middle school. We weren't really good friends in middle school. We became better friends in high school. And it's funny because I guess I kind of got Justin back into playing old games again because I showed him my Sega collection and talked about how much new games suck. And Justin's like, you know what? You're right. He's like, I'm going to play some old games. So Justin started collecting more on the old systems that he had, and he's got a huge collection of Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. But he's still trying to catch up to my Sega Genesis collection.
All the newer games are kind of just headed all in the same direction for the most part, I guess.
Yeah,
same typical format.
85% first-person shooters, 100% Call of Duty, 100% Battlefield, a few updates here and there, almost like EA Sports has taken over first-person shooters.
I don't know, just kind of gets boring and redundant after a while.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. It's just like a little bit of updates, but it should just be like updating the game that you just do it on like Xbox Live or something. It would make most sense just to pay for an update if you're going to do anything like that. But I mean, it's whatever's preferred boat that they prefer. Whatever kind of games they're into. But personally, we like to play old and new games. It depends what we're playing. Like new games, um, I got a game called Sleeping Dogs, which is really cool. It's kind of like Saints Row and Grand Theft Auto, but with Asian people and about the gangs and stuff in Hong Kong and everything. And I really like it so far. It's pretty cool, and I really wanted to get a game that was open world but had a serious story. So far it's a good fit, and I've been wanting a game to do martial arts in forever too. And what new games have you got lately? Any new games that you're playing? Because you have tons of new games, more than I do.
I do have like tons of new games, but I haven't really played any newer games at the moment. I don't know.
He was just playing. He just got Orange Box recently, and he was playing Half-Life 2. And
Well,
I couldn't get him.
That's an older game, kind of now.
Right,
too, but
right. I know, but it's still updated. I couldn't get him to stop playing Half-Life 2 to
opinion,
do sound tests on here.
It was one of like the first best first-person shooters on the PC to come out. So.
And you even said the graphics on the PS3 aren't even as good as they are on the original computer, right?
Well, it looks better on the PC, yeah, and
is it control better?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention my fiance is here next to us. She's in the corner of the couch playing The Sims right now.
Oh, she's actually playing solitaire.
Oh, well, she said she was going to play The
Fun
Sims.
stuff.
Oh, well. And, well, yeah, I know. But still, anyways, she got me the game Splatterhouse. I asked her to get me the updated Splatterhouse, and she got it for me for my birthday. My birthday was pretty recent, and she got me Wheel of Fortune, and I had to take it back to GameStop with the receipt because it glitched out. We played it, and it was fine, but when I started playing it the day after by myself, it basically just froze twice. I restarted the system and everything. I'm like, I got to take this back. So I went there. They didn't have another copy, so I exchanged it out for Sleeping Dogs and Soldier of Fortune Payback, which I used to have Soldier of Fortune Payback, and it's hilarious. It's just the most goriest game you can imagine, and the most violent, obnoxious, corny war game. But yeah, so anyways, to go over the topics and how we're going to review them, we are pretty much planning out a 5-star system. I've always been a fan of magazines growing up, like GamePro, and I like Game Informer and stuff too, and I do go on IGN sometimes as well. And I prefer overall 5-star system, makes the most sense. I am a frequent viewer of allmusic.com, and I go on there and look up album reviews quite a bit, and I got used to that system so much. And I used to write for a website called Celebrity Cafe. I did an internship, and I still reviewed stuff on there for a while, and it's just what I'm used to. But breaking it down, when we're going to do music albums, we're probably going to break it down to like the influences and talking about what the band's influenced by, or what we think it sounds like. The instrumentation of the album, the lyrics, the artwork, and our overall perspective of if we like it or not, and why we like it, why we don't. When it comes to movies, we're going to be talking about the story pretty much, on the soundtrack or the score, special effects and visuals, and the overall perspective of the movie for the most part. Video games is going to be the most detailed, of course. We got controls. We are going to do those. We're going to talk about those, and graphics, gameplay, the sound and the music, and then our overall perspective. So basically, we'll probably be rating each part out of 5, and then we'll overall sum our review of it. And I don't know what
we're playing the Sims 3 over here.
Lindsay, why are you holding my best friend's hand?
Oh, she's...
You're going to record this, aren't you?
It is recording.
You're going to record it.
What?
Because you guys are like all you're rambling, and he's sitting over here in the corner.
He's still talking. He's still participating. I think we're fine so far.
So what is it that you like about The Sims 3?
Yeah, there you go. Okay, yeah, you are playing The Sims 3 now, right?
Since you're playing The Sims 3 over here.
Here, come here. Here, you can tell us real quick. Come on.
What?
She's all right. So my fiance is just giving me a dead stare, and as she's blushing, she knows I'm gonna post this online. So
Oh my god.
okay, go ahead and talk about why you like The Sims so much over other games, and why you don't like new games.
I like Sims 3 because I can pretend to be an architect without actually knowing math at all. And 2, I can make you do everything I want, including the housework.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, what's number 3? I guess there's no number 3. She just wants to make me do the housework in a video game. That's okay. Whatever. I see how it is. Anyway, since I'm not doing housework right now, I'm going to continue on with this podcast.
I
And
remember I played it before, but then I realized, well, I need to do all this stuff in the Sims game myself. So I was like,
yeah,
what's
I
the point of
actually
playing
have a
this
real
game
life.
anyways?
But Lindsay's like, I don't really like my life so much. I'm going to play The Sims. No.
Curse word.
She says curse word, but she knows we're not supposed to curse on this. So anyways, we did watch a movie last night. We were all hanging out and everything. And oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, we kind of got snowed in. We got a snowstorm last night. Lindsay had to take my car and go to work. And we are just chilling out here. And we have been chilling out since. So anyways, we did watch the movie Tommy Boy last night on Netflix. Tommy Boy was obviously most people's favorite Chris Farley movie. It came out in 1995. And let's see what else here. It had a box office. It went through the box office of 32 million, which is quite a bit. And it's about an hour and a half movie. And for those of you that haven't seen Tommy Boy, it's pretty much about a kid who grew up and was always a dummy and didn't do very well in school. And then once he finally passes college, his dad gives him an office, and his dad owns a car place. What exactly was the car place? It was a place that makes brake pads.
Callahan's.
Yeah,
Auto Parts.
Callahan Auto Parts. That's right. And they're a pretty big business, but they're once their dad passes away, the woman that he marries basically tries to take over his company, and she already is married to someone that she pretended to be her son. So they're pretty much con artists trying to take over the company, and Chris Farley is going on a road trip to go try to sell the auto parts to save his dad's company, because his dad died of a heart attack right at the wedding that they were going to have. And David Spade is pretty much his sidekick through the movie, and David Spade does not like Chris Farley at all in the movie, but overall, over time, he ends up liking him, and they end up clicking as friends, even though growing up as kids, they never liked each other. So this is a pretty interesting story. It's a good story. It has some good morals, but overall, it's just a comedy, and it's really funny. What?
She's
All right.
talking about The Sims 3 in her pajama pants.
Oh, okay. Anyways, besides pajama pants topic, okay, what do you like about Tommy Boy? I know you said you're sick of seeing it all the time because it was always on TV, right?
Yeah, it was always like constantly playing on. So,
What are your
But yeah,
favorite parts?
yeah, I guess the funny part is when he walks into the bank and says like this will only take a second.
Yeah, and everyone just falls to the ground. He's like, "All right, this will only take a second," and then he just, they all just throw their guns at him and try to make a fake story about how he's robbing the place, and obviously that didn't happen. And then there's a second time around where he does the same thing again, kind of, where he's like, "Excuse me," and everyone does it again, and then David Spade's like, "Have you done this before?"
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. We obviously like the housekeeping scene a lot, and David Spade just keeps knocking on the door, and then he says something inappropriate, and then Chris Farley's like, "What kind of a hotel service is this?" That was pretty funny. He's like, "Oh, it's just you, Richard." And obviously the part that's most classic is the deer scene where they hit the deer and they're all crying, and they put the deer in the car, and then over time the deer just busts out of the car.
Tears the out of the.
Oops, Justin swore.
What?
You swore. You said.
I didn't know that was a curse, is it?
Yeah, technically it is. Oh well. Anyways,
Well, Oh,
so
they're
wait,
all.
what? All right, Justin, we gotta review this movie. So come on. What do you think about the story of the movie? Did you like the story a lot, or was it just kind of decent, or what?
Of Tommy Boy, it's just a sort of a, I guess, a decent comedy like type movie is what you're talking about.
Right. Well, what would you give the story out of 5? A 3, a 2, what?
The story.
Yeah, what would you give the story? Out of 5 stars.
Oh. Well, it's a pretty good story. It's just like a mom and pa like business trying to like make its way back up.
So is this a 3-star, a 4-star?
4-star, I guess.
Okay. What about the soundtrack? The soundtrack. Remember the music that was playing in the car and stuff? That was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, it was then when they started crying in the car and everything like
Yeah,
that.
because they're singing that song by the Carpenters, and they're
Yeah.
going, and then they try to sing the REM song, and they forget all the lyrics.
Yeah, it's
The
pretty
music
good.
in it was just basic, like 70s and 90s stuff for the most part.
Yeah, mostly.
There
basic
weren't really
music.
any special effects or visuals in the movie. The only special effects I can think of is the scene with the deer, but that was all just cheesy, typical comedy stuff with almost puppetry and everything. But overall, as a comedy, I give the movie a 4 out of 5. It's a funny movie. It's not a perfect movie at all, but it's still one of Chris Farley's best movies he ever did.
It's a classic comedy.
Right, exactly. So, okay. So that's our pretty much our review of Tommy Boy. Would you give it a 4 as well, Justin?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And one game we were going to talk about is Killer Instinct, because Justin, that was one of his favorite games. We're going to just do a brief summary of it because he said he didn't know what much to talk about it.
Although I guess the Ultra and Supreme victories, that's about what? The Ultra and Supreme victories.
Well, what about the game did you like? Killer Instinct. I mean, as a kid growing up, like, who was your favorite character to play as?
Oh, I guess playing as like Django.
Which one is that? Is that
He's
the
the
one,
ninja guy.
the ninja guy?
Yep.
A lot of people complained about him. They said his controls were like really hard to do. Did you have problems with his controls?
No, I didn't have any problems.
Here,
with
you're
his
gonna have to
controls.
hold the mic up to you because it won't pick you up.
I didn't have any problem with his controls or anything like that.
There you go. Okay, now I can hear you. Okay, and what characters did you not like? Did you have any specific ones you didn't like?
The werewolf, I guess, 'cause he's a little bit slower, I guess, than some of the other characters.
Okay, yeah. What is his name? Saberwolf.
Yeah, Saberwolf.
Yeah, I can't play as him. I like playing as Spinal a lot, and I think that character. I think Cinder was the one I always thought was cool. That's the fire guy, right?
Glacius was fun to play as too.
Yeah, Glacius was cool. For that time when it came out, I remember playing it at my cousin's house. He had it, and I remember my aunt. She was pretty religious and stuff, and she said that us playing that game was evil. She said it was evil because there was blood in it and everything, and we're like, "What are you talking about? It's just a fighting game." And I think she sent him to his room or something, and I was pretty much stuck just playing Star Wars, Super Star Wars. So she took away the game, and she borrowed it. I think he borrowed it from someone, and yeah, we used to try to play that game when we could, but it was always hard with my aunt, and she took it away, and I just thought that was kind of funny. We always had fun playing it. The music was pretty cool. Like I said, I didn't have Super Nintendo. I just played it at my cousin's mostly, and I used to play that quite a bit with them.
I guess one thing I noticed is the differences between from the Super Nintendo to the Nintendo 64 Killer Instinct, though.
Yeah, that's true. I personally like the 64 one more, but you have more of a nostalgic preference with the Super Nintendo one, correct?
Well, yeah, it's got more of a nostalgic to it, I guess, the Super Nintendo one.
Yeah.
But Nintendo 64 has I'd say has like better sound quality than some of like the Mortal Kombat games.
Yeah, on the 64, we did a side by side comparison between Mortal Kombat on the 64, the trilogy one, and then we did Killer Instinct sound quality, and obviously Rareware, they always have like great sound in their games. I mean, you can put like GoldenEye on Perfect Dark; those sound great. Killer Instinct Gold sounds amazing on the 64, and then we turned on Mortal Kombat trilogy like right after.
It sounds very low compared to Killer
The
Instinct.
sound quality doesn't even. It sounds like not even like the Genesis. It's the volume kind of sounds low. It doesn't sound very thick. You don't have much of a like a bass. It doesn't have much of a really great sound quality to it.
Close as I can get.
Are you still playing The Sims, hon?
Yeah, she's making me now.
Oh, really? That's funny. So anyways, so Killer Instinct, what would you give it review wise, Justin? Controls. Controls. What would you say about the controls? What would you give those out of 5?
I guess I'd give a 4 too, like that. Pretty, I guess, your basic fighting controls like that.
Is it pretty smooth? Do you like
Yeah.
punch with the top buttons or something and kick with the
It has a
bottom buttons?
pretty good option menu too. I mean, you can set the difficulties on the Super Nintendo one, I believe.
I don't
From
think.
what I
Well,
remember.
well, Killer Instinct wasn't on the Genesis, that's for sure. But anyways, what about? So you give the controls what, like a 5 or a 4 or what?
The controls, I'd just give I guess I'd give 4. It's pretty decent, smooth controls.
Okay, and then yeah, I give it about a 4 as well. I mean, certain characters are harder to control than other characters, of course. What about the graphics though for the time? Because the game, let's see, what year did it come out? In the arcade, it came out in '94. The Super Nintendo came out in '95. Okay, Justin, hello, Lindsay,
Yeah.
stop distracting him. Come on.
What's up?
All right. Let's see the graphics. What would you give the graphics out of 5 stars for the time being? At the time.
For Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo?
Yeah.
The graphics are pretty good for that, yeah. I'd give it a 5 for that time.
Okay. Yeah, because it's pretty close to the arcade. What about the gameplay overall?
The gameplay was pretty fun. I had its taglines, I guess, that were cool too. That
Yeah, that
made
stood out.
stood out for the game. That made it unique compared
Did
to other
you-
fighting games.
Did you ever like catch yourself playing this game and forgetting where the time gone? Like, would you play it for like an hour straight?
Yeah, I'd probably play it for like an hour straight like that.
Okay. What about the sound and the music though? You like the sound quality and the music though, right?
Yeah, the sound quality and the music are all cool in the game like that. Pretty solid score of music. I mean, yeah, it did even come with its own like disc.
So you give the gameplay a 5, right?
The music was kind of funny in some parts though, like that in ways, I guess.
But you give the gameplay a 5 star or 4 star.
Yeah, the gameplay gets 5 star.
Okay.
It's a fighting game for the Super Nintendo. I
Yeah,
don't know if that's
For me, I give the
any-
gameplay a 4 star because it's just such a hard game. I mean, yeah, you can change the difficulty, but certain fighting games, when you change the difficulty, you gotta like bring it down like super far as possible, and it's still hard. That's my problem with Mortal Kombat for me. Mortal Kombat 2 and the Genesis, it's just way too hard for me. So the music, I give the music a 4 as well. The music's really cool. You still have the Killer Cuts CD, which I can't even believe. A lot of people try to look for that, I think, on eBay and stuff.
One of the songs is kind of perverted a little bit. It was kind of funny. I was like, for a Nintendo game, I don't know.
Does
Just
it say a lot of inappropriate stuff in it?
It just sounded like in the midst of like one of the songs, whatever. She's like, "Ooh, baby," or something like that. It's like, okay.
All right, yeah, I'm just gonna change the song now. Maybe that's why
It's
maybe
one
my,
of- it was
maybe
one of
my
those-
aunt heard that. My aunt might have heard that and said, "This game's evil."
It was one of those songs that was on the disc that came with the game.
The Killer Cuts
The
thing.
Killer Cuts thing.
That's
yeah.
so funny. You still have that. Okay, so overall rating, what would you give it out of 5? Killer Instinct.
I'd give it a 5. I mean, it's a game that's kind of a must for the Super Nintendo.
I mean, they even just remade the whole game for the Xbox One that just came out, the new system, which we'll talk about the new systems and how we feel about them in a second. But yeah, overall, He gives it a 5. I give it a 4. I think it's a game that holds up.
I think it's a game that's for the Super Nintendo that kind of, I don't know, defined it a little bit too.
I think it definitely defined it as one of the fighting games. A lot of people, there's a lot of people that hate Killer Instinct, but there's also others that, don't that don't hate it at all and really like it a lot and appreciate it. I think it has its like own like underground cult following. So one last game I'm going to review is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the Sega Genesis. It was a game that I grew up playing. It's a fighting game. We've played it quite a bit. I used to play it all the time as a kid. You got 5 levels in it. And the cool thing about the game is it's a side-by-side fighter deal, one-on-one fighter. It's kind of like a Street Fighter. And what's cool is you fight a monster as a Power Ranger. You pick your Power Ranger, you fight as a monster, and then from there, once you beat the monster, you can go into the Megazord. And then later on, by the 3rd level, you can you go against, I think it's the 2nd level, you go against the Green Ranger, and if you beat him, which he's pretty difficult, you can unlock the Dragon Zord and him as a ranger to play as. So basically like the show, he starts off evil. So you got to go with that, and it's pretty cool because you got your monsters to go against, and you can choose between Megazord and Dragon Zord for the most part. Let's see here. Power Rangers came out for the Genesis in, 94? Man, I feel old. I played it on the Genesis all the time as a kid. I thought it was fun. It was pretty cool. The graphics are neat. The music is amazing, and the Power Rangers on the Genesis, it's very progressive rock and metal influenced.
They're completely different games, though, between the Super Nintendo, too, right?
Yeah. Well, you don't have the fighting one yet. You have the
one that I have is
like one.
It's like a beat 'em up.
Yeah, it's a beat 'em up one, and we don't really like that one. The movie one, don't even get me started on the movie one. A lot of people like the movie one. I don't.
Well, the beat 'em up one's not that bad. It's just kind of like
the movie beat 'em up is just extremely repetitive. But I'll talk about that on another day. So, anyways, this on the Genesis here. Let's see here. The controls overall, the controls are pretty straightforward. I think you punch with the A button and you kick with B and you jump with C, I think. I think you might even just jump pressing up, honestly. I don't even think you use a C button. So the fighting in it, it's pretty basic. All your Rangers are pretty much the same. They have a few different special things they can do. Like the Black Ranger uses the axe, and the Yellow Ranger uses her daggers. And Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, she uses the arrow. Jason, the Red Ranger, uses a sword. And Green Ranger, of course, Tommy, he has his dagger and does an electrocution thing, which is a really, really cheap move that you can do over and over just to beat enemies, and it 80% of the time works. But the controls overall in the game, they're pretty decent. I feel like they could have done a lot more with them, so I'll give the controls about a 4. You probably haven't played the game in a while, so you probably don't really remember.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, it's pretty basic. It's like, I think it's the punch button is A and the kick button's B, and you just press up to jump. It's pretty much like Street Fighter, except way more simplified. So I guess I'd give the controls a 3. You can do more stuff with the controls when you become the actual like Megazord and the Dragon Zord. The game's a lot more fun on 2-player too, because you can actually choose them to play as the monsters, and that's where the game gets more exciting. You get to do a lot more with the characters, and you can do more moves. So that's why, like, overall, I guess I give the controls a 3. They're pretty solid. They weren't really creative with what you could do with the Rangers that much. Most of the attacks are the same, so that's where, the downside is. The graphics at the time, they're pretty decent. I give them about a 4. They're pretty good, I guess. The explosions were neat. You had a lot of cool backgrounds that would be going around, but a lot of stuff was repeating. Like on the level with Goldar, there's a glimpse. If you look down at the bottom of the screen, there's this guy shooting a shotgun like over and over and over. Or it might even be a rifle. I'm not even sure, because it's just like a small person on the ground. But the graphics and animations are pretty neat. The sprites look good and everything. What about you? What did you think of the graphics from what you remember
On
on the Sega?
From what I remember, the graphics were fine. They looked pretty good.
So about a 4 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a 4 for the graphics. The game still holds up pretty well. So, the gameplay, like I said, we'll go with a 4 on the gameplay. It's a fun game to play. I still have fun playing it. This kind of goes along with controls again. It's just that you would, if you had more that you could do with the actual the Power Rangers, it'd be a lot more fun gameplay wise. But they didn't really do much with the Power Rangers themselves. Just the Zords and the monsters. So that's why it's more fun on 2-player.
I was just thinking of one that was fun gameplay wise that we both have too.
Well, hold on. I gotta finish reviewing this though. The
Okay.
sound and the music was really good. The sound quality was decent. The music was great. Overall, I give the sound about a 4, and the music, yeah, same thing, 4. And the overall rating, I give the game about a 4 out of 5. What would you say, Justin? About the same?
Yeah, about the same.
Do you
4
remember
out
the
of
music?
5.
Did it stand out to you?
I don't
Really
know if I
remember?
remember the music as
Yeah,
much.
I think it's more of a nostalgic preference, but when you hear the music a bunch growing up as a kid and then you're into rock music, I think it's a lot cooler. So, but it still gives a good vibe. They still have a few of the melodies from the actual show on there. Bless you, Lindsay. Bless you. Are you gonna say thank you? No. Okay. No. She just looked at me and said no. Okay. All right. Well, anyways, we give the game about a 4 out of 5. Okay, go ahead. What was the game you were thinking about that we both have?
Oh, I was taking it back. It'd be on the Nintendo, the Smash TV.
Oh yeah, we can talk about that real quick.
I just like the fact that you could use 2 controllers with a multi-tap adapter for the Nintendo.
Okay, so we'll do side-by-side comparison of the Genesis and the Nintendo. He still's got to get it on Super Nintendo though. So Smash TV was on the Sega Genesis. I got to look it up here real quick.
You said how different it was a little bit on the Sega, like certain things didn't pop up in the gameplay or whatever. I guess that's on the Nintendo one.
Yeah, on the Genesis, opposed side by side with the Nintendo. Nintendo gives you the option, if you have the 4-player adapter, you can take the controllers and you can hold them side by side. So each player gets 2 controllers, and you can use the arrows to basically, your right controller would be to aim your gun, and then your left controller D-pad would be to walk around. So basically, you can aim while you walk with both D-pads, which is totally...
Makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it makes it easier. It brings it more ahead of its time, for sure. I mean, the game came out in about 1990. I'm not exactly sure when it came out for the NES. Let me see real quick. It doesn't really say here.
Seems like something they were thinking of when they, I guess, eventually progressed to like the Nintendo Wii.
Yeah, well, for the Genesis, apparently you can still do the 2 controllers for the 1 player, but you can't do it for 2-player, which doesn't make sense. Because obviously there's 4-player adapters for the Genesis as well. And I don't know why they would have it side by side for that, for the NES, but not the Genesis, especially if it's a system that's coming out a little bit after the Nintendo, and right before, Sega Genesis came out in about, I think, 89 in North America. But the game is really cool. Super Smash TV is what it's called on the Super Nintendo and the Genesis. And the Nintendo just calls it Smash TV. But this game's really fun. It holds up. It's just a run and gun. You run around. It's top view, and you just go through the levels as fast as you can, shooting as many characters as possible, and try to survive. It's a lot like the movie Running Man. I mean, you got a host that comes up on the screen, and he says, "Good luck, you'll need it." And he's got like 2 women with mullets pretty much standing side by side of him.
You said the guy isn't in there on the Sega one, though.
Right. Well, no, he's not. I didn't see him on it. I think I played the Super Nintendo one a little bit before, and he is on that one. He's on the Super Nintendo one. So maybe it doesn't make sense why Sega would not have that guy in there, because that kind of adds to the element and the excitement. But review-wise of it real quick.
It's basically about the same game.
The controls. I mean, let's talk about this. This is a game that was pretty much brought over by Acclaim onto the systems, from what I remember. It says here that Williams did it in the arcades, though. And Williams did some good games like NBA Hang Time. And I think they were like part of Midway. But it was brought over by Acclaim on the Genesis and the Nintendo. And Acclaim, some people hate Acclaim, some people like them. They definitely threw out tons and tons of games. But for the controls for this game at the time is like outstanding. So it is entirely a 5 for sure. The fact that you can take two controls. If you play with just a regular controller, you got the B and A button. I mean, you still shoot, I think, with either or, but you just walk around. And I think you got to hold one of the buttons down to aim in one direction, so that still helps. You got to, like, hold the B button down, and then I think you just keep pressing the A button to, like,
I just thought
shoot.
The controls for that game is what made it unique and stand out.
Yeah, definitely. Controls is the most superb thing about the whole game. So that's definitely a 5 out of 5 for that. The graphics, the graphics, what would you say? Graphics are pretty good, especially for the Nintendo. I'd give the graphics about a 5. I mean, they're still good. The game still holds up really well.
It's kind of like a game that you would, I guess, download for a mini game on your little Xbox 360 nowadays.
It would be a great game, but it's not even up on Xbox Live. That's the crazy thing. And totally would be great for Xbox Live. So what would you give the graphics a 5, I guess?
Yeah, I'd give it a 5.
Okay, and then the gameplay?
Gameplay, I'd give a 5.
Yeah, 5 for sure. The sound and the music? The sound and the music's decent. The music doesn't really stand out that much. I mean, a little bit, but it's all the same melodies over and over. So I would just give the sound pretty much a 3. They didn't really do much with the music at all. There's not really much music that plays. I think
it's more focused on gameplay and control.
Which that's a good thing. I would give the music and the sound a 3. What would you give it, Justin? About a 3 as well?
Yeah.
Because they didn't really do much about it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, though. So overall, what would you give it out of 5?
Oh, I'd give it a 5 out of that. I mean,
you give it a 5 out of 5?
It's a really good game, and yeah, it'd be a good one to still play and like download, I guess, if you could download it on Xbox.
I never get sick of this game, really. I go back and playing it a bunch. I guess I'll give it a 5 as well.
It's a fun one that you could play with friends too, like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a preferred taste. It's really repetitive, but it's extremely addicting. It's definitely one of the best top view like arcade games that I can think of.
There's a lot of them out there like that now, I think, that are kind of like Smash.
Yeah,
TV.
I mean, if you look at Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which we'll talk about that later for sure, that's a top view game, and you shoot in different directions and stuff, and that game obviously was later, but it was an amazing game. We'll talk about that more later. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like it paved the way for a lot of shooters, that's for sure. And like I said, it's definitely got the Running Man influence, the movie Running Man. So overall, we'll give that game a 5. Let me see how good we are on the time here. Hang on a second. And we're about 44 minutes into this recording, so that we're doing pretty decent. This episode might be shorter than I was thinking, though. Let's see here. So Smash TV, yeah, we give it a 5. But what retro games have you been playing lately? We forgot to talk about that too. Like any ones currently that you've been playing?
Just recently got the Sunset Riders.
Oh yeah, that's right. Did you played it on the Super Nintendo, right?
Yeah, played it on the Super Nintendo.
You want to go ahead and tell the listeners how much you paid to get that game?
Well, it's I think it's valued at like about $45 or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to come by on the Super Nintendo. I have it on the Genesis. I got it for $15, and Justin got it for about $40-50. I think it's getting harder to come by. I don't know exactly how hard it is to come by on the Sega now, but I have it. And
I did see a copy of Earthbound too, and they wanted like $200 for it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, they're They made Earthbound downloadable for the new Wii U, by the way. So that I hope to God that
Well,
these new downloadables that you can do on systems, I really hope they don't bring down the value of the games that everyone's buying, because it kind of like bums us out as collectors to spend a bunch of money on these games, and then all of a sudden value goes down. Like, I know one example is Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for the PS2. That went down in value. That was like $80 at one point at GameStop, and then now when we get a vintage stock and stuff, it's only like $35 or $40. That's like almost twice the value down. So, or I mean, broken down to half off almost. Bless you again. Anyways, well, all right, give them a perspective what you think about new systems and why you don't want to get a PS4, a Wii U, or a Xbox One. Because we've talked about this plenty of times.
There's not much else you can do, I guess, graphic-wise like that. I mean, as far as advancing, or too much, I would think. I mean,
Even
unless
though
it comes out and slaps you in the face, for the most part.
yeah, virtual reality, that'd be nice. But even like with the new Killer Instinct coming out, you don't even want to get the Xbox One.
Maybe somewhere down the road, but not anytime soon.
Yeah, because you got the old ones. There's no point in spending several $100s just to get an updated old game.
Yeah, it's basically just playing an upgrade of the same thing.
Right.
Over and over.
Justin's got the PS3. I have the Xbox 360. And like Justin said, we both don't really think the new systems look that amazing. I mean, yeah, they're advancing, but it seems like if you look at how the Super Nintendo advanced to the Nintendo 64 and how Sega advanced to Sega Saturn, I mean, it's going from side-scrolling and 2D to 3D pretty much, and that's totally a way big advancement. And if you look at how the Xbox 360 goes to Xbox One or PS3 goes to PS4, I mean, yeah, they probably got a few things that we don't know about that are advancing, but from our perspectives and, how much it costs just for the system alone, that's just outrageous. I mean, there's so many more important things in life to be spending money on than $500 on a new system. If people already have a PS3 or Xbox 360 and still the new games are still releasing on those, it just doesn't seem like much of a big difference to break through to spend that much money on a new system,
Yeah, it doesn't. It's like over like $1,000 for like both systems, I think, total.
Yeah, and that's not a good idea. And that'd be like buying a Neo Geo back in the day. Because Neo Geo apparently cost about $1,000 back in the day too. And so I think the Neo Geo cost $1,000. Let me see this. I have to look it up. But let's see here. All right, let's see. I gotta double check so I don't sound like a moron. Neo Geo. What are you guys laughing about?
Just being goofy. Yes.
Yeah, I know she is. Oh, okay, here we go.
Oh, I know I am.
Oh, it cost $649.99. That was the introduction price of the Neo Geo. It came out in 1990.
Where's my character?
And the games cost about as much as a Super Nintendo or a Genesis. I know that.
What do I look like?
All right. Hey, I need you. All right, here.
Oh yeah.
We're almost done, Lindsay. Don't worry. So we're just about done with the episode. I'm gonna play a closing song. The intro song that we played here was NBA Hang Time theme song. We're still trying to think of what songs we want to use as an intro and an outro. We thought NBA Hang Time, the theme song for the Genesis, was really funny, and we kind of wanted to do it because it sounded cool. Oh, I thought you were gonna say something.
What that? Oh, that's one that I said would work as an intro for opening.
Okay, and no, Lindsay, that's not a good idea. Okay, and then let's Let's see here. Here we go. Okay, so we're closing the episode now with Streets of Rage ending theme. I like this game a lot, obviously. We'll definitely be reviewing the Streets of Rage games. We've beaten the first and the second game together. We got to beat the third, but the third one's extremely hard, so we'll talk about those soon. We don't know what we're going to do for the next episode. We'll probably just decide as we go. We're planning on doing this show to possibly be monthly or weekly, maybe even an every other week thing. So we just wanted to get this first episode out of the way. Like I said, I don't know 100% if Justin wants to be our co-host or not for the show, but if you guys want him to be, go ahead and give us shout-outs. We're going to give some quick shout-outs, though, to Retro Junkies podcast. We really like them a lot. I listen to them all the time. They're really good guys. They have been really cool in accepting us and encouraging us to do our podcast. And I also have been listening to Retro Thought Pod, and then just started their podcast, and they're a bunch of really nice guys. And they've been really encouraging us as well, commenting on the page. And I've also been listening to, what's the other one? Oh yeah, NES podcast. Those guys are really cool. I like their format that they do, and they just review everything by the year. So, and last but not least, Legacy Music Hour. They call me Family Jewels, and they ended their show recently. So, anyways, everybody have a good day, and hopefully you guys liked our first episode. And comment on our page. Our page is www.facebook.com/The Retro Relapse Podcast. We also have, we're planning on opening a Podomatic and everything as well, and that's probably where we're going to upload this. So have a good day.
What?